more is effectiveness. Senate, 15 years of empowering more.
At the invitation of Dinesh and Senid, we have a visitor who's traveled from Singapore to be here today. Some of you probably are aware that in the earlier part of the day, this very venue was used for a seminar or HR conference. And our guest speaker was also a speaker there on that occasion earlier on. The name is important. The name is Mario Ferraro. Now, as I said, he's based currently in Singapore and works for Deloitte, but he has over 20 years of experience in the design and implementation of solid and effective HR solutions on a regional and global scale. And he has had the opportunity to work with many large-scale blue-chip organizations, and has been able to provide his expertise in HR transformation and organizational change in a variety of industry sectors. And although he's been very familiar with the Asian part of the world, he's been in Western Europe, in Latin America, in the Middle East, as well as Asia. And prior to joining Deloitte, Mario was the Group General Manager of International HR in the global headquarters of International SOS, where he was responsible for business-critical HR issues across 70 countries. So Mario Ferraro is our guest speaker, and even as he makes his way to the lectern for his presentation, we would like to perhaps suggest that if you have any noise-making devices, such as mobile phones, it might be mannerly to have them switched off so that they don't in any way intrude on the comfort of others as they strive to hear what's spoken. So Mario Ferraro.
Very good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to be here tonight. I would like to, first of all, congratulate Dinesh on this very special, very important occasion, and I wish you many, many more years of success. Dinesh and I have a solid partnership going on. It's just started, but I look forward to working more closely with him to support him in his expansion in Southeast Asia, in the Asia-Pacific region. And I think it's going to be a very powerful combination with Senate providing the technology infrastructure, the solutions that enable the HR function to grow and expand to new levels, and Deloitte providing the strategies and the best practice for the HR functions to enable organizations. So I look forward to working with you, Dinesh, going forward. As it was mentioned just a moment ago, earlier today, I was addressing a group of mainly HR directors, as well as a few CEOs, on HR issues. And what I would like to share with you today, this evening, in just a very few minutes, I promise not to be too long, is really what I have learned over the last several years of working for Deloitte. Deloitte, as you know, is a very large organization. We have 186,000 people around the world. We work with some of the biggest companies on the planet, but we also help smaller companies to improve for wherever they happen to be, to move to the next level. So we do not really discriminate between big companies and small companies, all right? So very often people ask me, what is it that the best companies have that could be transferred to all the companies? Can we generalize what is the formula for success? And now I am fairly intimidated standing here in front of so many successful business people. You know, what could I possibly tell you that you don't already know, right? But perhaps I can share you what I figured out. If I were to boil it down to the very basics, really success really has just a few ingredients. I will say 3 ingredients. You know, if you want to be successful, the 3 key ingredients are vision, strategy, and execution. We heard earlier during the introduction the great story of Senate and the vision of one man who knew exactly what he wanted and how he was going to get it. But it was through the rigorous execution that he was successful, right? Vision is important, but it is an idea, is a dream in somebody's mind. Strategy is when you move from dreamland back to planet Earth and you realize there are some constraints, there are some challenges, there are some things that I need to overcome. And if you think that is difficult, well, wait for it. The execution is where things usually go wrong. Right? Now, why am I saying this in the context of a HR talk? Well, it's because the execution ultimately means that that idea that was in one person's mind needs to be communicated, understood, accepted, embraced by hundreds of people, thousands of people, sometimes tens of thousands of people, and this is why things can go wrong, right? So the point I'm trying to make here is that success, the key to success, ultimately depends on successful execution of your strategies. And successful execution depends on the people who are executing, right? So in other words, your people are the key to your success. Now ask yourself, who is the custodian? Who do you trust with bringing the right people into your organization? Who do you trust with developing your people? It's the HR function. And this is what is the difference between the best organizations and those organizations who haven't figured it out yet. The best organizations have figured out that HR, the HR function, is not just that group of people who sits in the back office there running payroll, checking timesheets, and validating expenses claims. The most successful organizations have figured out that HR has a strategic role to play, that HR needs to be elevated to the board level, to a critical business function, because it holds the key that will make the difference between success, failure, or being mediocre. Right. In the best organizations, HR has a seat on the board. Sometimes they distinguish between the chief HR officer, so there is a C-suite position for HR, and a HR operating officer, someone who's in charge of operation and running. Right? And these functions, these C-level HR directors, have direct visibility of where the business is going, how it's planning to be there, what is the operating model, how are we supposed to operate and achieve what we are supposed to achieve. And from there, the HR function can start asking and answering questions. If this is our vision, if this is where we want to be in the next 5 years or 10 years, what is the best organizational design that will support that kind of organization? What kind of people are we going to need? What kind of skills? And where are we going to get them from? Do we have them in the local labor market? Do we need to bring them from overseas? What are our strategies to attract those people that we don't have and to retain the people that we have? What are our strategies to make sure that for the critical positions in our organizations, we always have a successor, we always have a plan B in case we lose someone? How do we develop them? And so on. And these are all business critical issues. Now, let me be very clear. I'm not suggesting at all that HR should stop doing what they are doing. People still need to get paid, people need to get hired, people need to be trained, and so on. What I'm saying is that what big organizations, what successful organizations do differently, they do all these things in the context of a strategy. They do all these things in a way that is aligned with what the business is trying to achieve. I do many presentations on how to make HR more strategic. And I always start with the same line. I say, if we want to know how to make HR more strategic, don't start talking about HR. Talk about the business. If you are trying to talk about strategic HR by looking at the HR function, You're actually starting from a non-strategic perspective. Ask yourself, what does the business need? And then all the HR questions will follow. Okay. So how can it be done? You know, very often companies say, look, I don't have the right people. Maybe my HR function is not quite there yet. It doesn't matter. It's a journey. It is a journey, and we help hundreds of companies to actually start the journey, complete the journey, one step at a time. We use what we call maturity diagnostics. Every company has a starting point. Every company is at different stages of evolutions or sophistications. What is important is to recognize where you are. Whenever you embark on a journey, you need a roadmap. And what is the first question you ask yourself? When you open the map, what's the first question you ask? Where am I? You need to understand where you are today. You need to be conscious of where you are today and where you want to be. And then you can map a series of steps, a series of initiatives to move slowly or aggressively, depending on your appetite, towards the goal. It can be done. So if there is one message I would like to leave you with today, is do recognize that your people are the key to your competitive advantage. The world is changing. Organizations are doing today what businesses have been doing for years in supply chain management. When you buy an American car today, do you think every part of that car is made in the United States? Of course not. The American car manufacturers just buy the best parts from different parts of the world to create an American car. Companies are doing the same with their talent today. If they need someone with certain skills and they want the best, they're going to look for that person no matter where he or she is in the world. Global sourcing is called. It has come to HR, and we've been doing it for years in supply chain management, right? Now, what does it mean? That means that the competition is global. There are lots of companies out there who are looking at your market, they are looking at your customers, and they're looking at your talent. Your talent can be easily picked from someone who is on the other side of the world. Is it a challenge? Yes. Is it an opportunity for you? Yes, because you can do the same. You are no longer limited nowadays with globalization, with global connectivity. You are no longer limited by the local labor pool, by local availability of skills. So you have options. You have options to bring the best people from wherever they happen to be. You have options to actually move the jobs. If you think that there are certain specific roles or skills that you need that are not available here, well, you know, some companies are actually moving the jobs, they're moving the functions somewhere else where the skills are. It's called offshoring, right? So there are options, and what you need is a HR person who helps you to think, what is the best thing you can do to achieve your objectives? It's all HR, but it's really business. It's business translated into people's terms. So please, there is just one message that I would like to leave you with tonight. Please do recognize that people are the source of your competitive advantage. And if you recognize that people are your most important asset and your most important investment, then please do try to elevate your HR function to a more strategic level so that they can work with you towards your success. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you too, Mario Ferraro. There was quite a great deal in the way of food for thought.